sugar, spice, and everything nice. These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girl. But Professor Utonium accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction, Chemical X. Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born! Using their ultra superpowers, Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup have dedicated their lives to fighting crime and the forces of evil!
Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of the Powerpuff Girls movie, which serves basically as a prequel origin story to the 1998 TV series. This is the 2002 feature film that served as a prequel to the 1998 TV series. I've been watching a couple of episodes from both the 1998 and the 2016 series, and I think both are very good. I have some issues with both sides, more so with the newer version, but I think they're both really entertaining and great fun shows, so I certainly recommend them to younger girls between the ages of 5 and 12. And this movie is no different, although I'd probably raise that early age up a little bit, up to maybe 7. End age might be able to go up to 13 though. And I think it's a fun, enjoyable film. It's not much special. It's basically a prequel to the TV series. A cinematic prequel, basically, and more of an extended feature episode. The normal length for both seasons, series is about 10, 11, 12 minutes per episode. 10 to 15, generally. So this one does feel like a feature length, as it's about an hour and 20-ish overall. So it does feel like a feature film for a show that usually the episodes are 10 to 15 minutes. And the plot, as I've already mentioned, is basically a prequel. We see the origins of the girls, as mentioned in the title sequence of the original show. And we also get to expand on what follows that, with the relationship between the girls and Professor Utonium, who's basically their father. And then the next day at school, when they go to preschool, yeah, strangely in the original show, they're still at kindergarten, which is basically nursery/reception in England. Certainly, might be a bit different up in Scotland, but certainly in England and probably Wales as well, it would be reception or late nursery. And they pretty much stay there throughout the entire 7 series. You'd think they'd managed to get themselves to high school, or the one between elementary and high school. Is it junior? I'm not sure. Whatever comes second in the schools, elementary, something, high. You think they'd be somewhere in the middle. The new series takes it to elementary, certainly, but they're still there after. Actually, no, that's 3 years. That makes sense. Once they get to year 5, I think that's when they've got to move to the next one. But certainly for the old series, you'd think they'd move to elementary and then on to the second of the schools by the 7th season. But I don't know why, but well, but in this movie it makes sense for them to go to the kindergarten. It's just that it doesn't quite make sense for them to still be there after season 2. Just saying, they should have gone to the next 2 stages by the end of season 7. And then maybe even further by the few specials that they had between the end of the original series and the start of the new series. But anyway, that's a sidetrack, and that's more of a problem with the show rather than with the films. The film actually shows the start very nicely, and it does a very good job with it. And also, we get to see the first impact that the girls have on the town, and for a short while they're seen as the bad guys, or at least more bad guys, as Townsville has a very has a very bad crime rate. A bit like Gotham before Batman came along, and the crime rate went down a bit, but you also got more colourful villains popping up to fight the heroes when they're around. So, for example, here you've got some villains around, you've got some criminals doing crime, but by the end of the movie, that's when it's open for the villains from the show to start popping up to cause lots of problems that the girls have to face, for example. The best comparison with Batman is Batman, and especially the animated series and the Dark Knight trilogy. The animated series, the 90s one. 92 to 97 one. And also the Tim Burton film. So yeah, the girls were actually seen as the bad guys for a bit, and even have the police even take Professor Utonium in for some questioning, and the girls are left alone after causing some problems, and you get to see the result of their destruction. It's also during this that they meet Mojo Jojo, who, well, formed Jojo to start with, the former lab monkey of the professors, who basically left after accidentally creating the girls, and the professor turning his love on them. And he's now regards himself as a freak, because he was caught in the explosion and got himself a big brain. So he's now developed a plan to try and take over Townsville, and he exploits the girls really, tricks them into a way of helping people, and uses them to help him take over the city. Eventually the girls realise that they've made a mistake, and they go off to the moon to have a big sulk, whilst Jojo tries to take over, but his monkey minions, that he's mind controls with the monkeys, they want to take control over, so the girls have to come back to stop Mojo, and it comes with a massively brilliant climax. Such a great climax to this movie, and it all ties up very well and leads into the show really well. So that's pretty much the plot of the movie, and the animation looks great. It uses a great use of the 2D animation from the show, plus some new revolutionary 3D animation that hadn't been seen that much, certainly in these types of films before, and it looks very well, and they use it to a great degree, and it's nice seeing the build-up to the story as well as how it goes through. I mean, I think the people of Townsville do overreact to the girls a bit too much, but to be fair, they did blow up a lot of stuff, and by the end everyone will be like, oh, thank you, it's alright, you can keep your powers, we love you now because you saved the day. And it's the fact that the girls decide to protect those people in the end, that eventually leads to them being accepted and thus being needed by those people. So, yeah, if people don't like you, you have to go out and prove that you're good enough to protect them, and then eventually they'll come to love you and depend on you. Yeah. Voice acting is great for these characters. I was a bit on the edge of which of the two versions I thought had the better voices. I was slightly leaning towards the newer version until quite recently, when I thought the Bubbles voice from the older one was a bit better than the newer version. Actually, it seems like there was more character in it, to be honest. Although I do prefer the Buttercup voice of the new version. At least the new version does give a bit more of a distinction between the three of them, whilst the older one it's a bit trickier to stop at first, but once you get used to them, then it's easier. Although that being said, this movie is a bit more tricky to distinguish them between each other than most of the episodes. Yeah, but that being said, the voice acting is great, and also the same can be said for the Professor and Mojo Jojo, who also are in, and the Mayor. I think those are voice actors from the new series. And also Miss Keane definitely is. Miss Benham also does a good job. I think basically because the voice actors from the show are reprising the roles again for the film, then it just works a lot. There isn't that many supporting characters, but it's nice to focus on these main characters as they develop the story and the origin well, and ultimately it turns into a really good ending. It's not terribly special in terms of a movie, but in terms of what it means to the show, then yeah, it is pretty special and it's really enjoyable. Overall, I think this is a really fun and entertaining film, and there isn't really many problems with it. Nitpicks maybe, but I wouldn't say it's a god-awful, terrible movie. I just don't think it's that amazing. I think it's a great film, and it's brilliant as an origin for the show. Shows characters and a great starting point for the timeline. But that's about it, and that's the oldest show, by the way. If you showed it before the new one, you might get a bit confused. So overall, the Powerpuff Girls movie, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Yeah, it's very fun, very entertaining, but like Doctor Who The Rescue, well, yeah, it's basically like that, but even better. But like Doctor Who The Rescue, it's not really a huge film in the wider schemes. I mean, in the terms of the Powerpuff Girls show and universe, it is pretty big. It's probably the biggest they've gotten so far, apart from maybe a even longer feature-length film or a live-action adaptation, which I don't know if that will ever happen. Probably not. Yeah, there might be outrage from the fans. If you've seen the reactions of the show on IMDb's review page, then you'll know that quite a lot of them are not happy with it. Ouch. So, you might cause outrage. There was a little bit of a outrage when the Kim Possible live-action movie was announced. Something which I think would work, and I'm looking forward to it. It's one of my most anticipated movies of 2019, despite not being a cinematic release. That was a disappointment to hear. It wouldn't be a cinematic film. But as for this, live-action film might work. It's really, but maybe not as much as Kim Possible. It would, a longer cinematic outings would be another great thing. So something like this, but maybe a bit longer, maybe with a slightly bigger budget. Yeah, basically this, but for the new series, in a way. Anyway, so this was a great film. Yeah, the Powerpuff Girls movie, great film. And if you haven't seen the shows, don't worry. This one is, as this is a origin story, it works as it says on its own, and it doesn't really need all the references from the show. There might be one or two references, but mainly it's trying to just tell the story and just get on with it, and eventually lead into the show, but not directly. It's openly direct, I suppose. Openly leads in. So anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching. Next time we will be reviewing, The Incredibles. Ooh, about time too. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Yeah, 2 hours. Excuse me. So, and it's more than it's about almost 5 to 8 times as long. 5 to 8 times. If we say 11 to 12 minutes, then it's about 80 would be, and I'll just do some maths. 24 is 2, 48 is 12, 60 is 5, 66, hang on, 12, so 72, 84. It's about almost 7 times. As long as we say 12, if it's 12 minutes. If it's 11, then that would take us to 90, 81. That would be 9 times, I think. Am I got that right? 11, 22, 33, 44, 55. So 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88. Okay, so it's 7 times as long for both counts. If it's for 7 or 7 for 11 to 12, it's about the movie's about 7 times as long as a normal episode, 11 to 12 minutes. So times those by 7, and you've got 77 and 84, 82. Sorry, was it? Hang on. 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84. Yeah, so that would be about 70, that's 77, 84. It's kind of in between, so it's in between. So maybe 7 times 11 and a half-ish. I'm not sure what that one is. So, yeah. A bit like Gotham before Batman picked. So, thank you for watching, and next time I'll be reviewing. So, yeah. Sugar, spice, and everything nice. Sugar, spice, and everything nice. These were the ingredients Professor Utonium used to These were the ingredients Professor Utonium used to create the perfect little girl. These were the ingredients used by Professor Utonium to create the perfect little girl. Actually, no. These were the perfect ingredients used. Okay, we've got both versions to use. These were the ingredients These were the ingredients chosen. What's wrong with me? Oh, right, cold. These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girls. But Professor Utonium accidentally These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girls. But Oh, cock it. These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girls. These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girls. But Professor Utonium accidentally included a special ingredient. Chemical X. Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born. Using their superhuman abilities, Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup dedicated their lives to fighting crime and the forces of evil. 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 You went well last time. Hang on. Take 2.